The E3 rumor mill has been working overtime in 2018. It's been a very crazy E3 season, and we're still a couple weeks away from E3, and we've already seen confirmations of rumors come to light and come to fruition. Of course, last week on the channel, we talked about the Walmart of Canada leak, where they put up a bunch of different games on their website and then quickly took them down, and one of those games was Rage 2. Rage 2! Who's heard of Rage 2? Nobody's talking about Rage 2. But then Bethesda got a little bit antsy with it, and then 2 days later, they put up a trailer for Rage 2 and an announcement, and then the next day they showed gameplay of the game. So it's very interesting to see just how interconnected everything is nowadays. You know, the common folk and the big internet people are now sort of mixed together and blended into one. So you're seeing a lot more E3 leaks grounded and rooted in reality. So it's been a very interesting E3 season. But one E3 leak that I did not talk about on the channel was a proposed Nintendo Switch E3 leak. Pretty much the whole presentation for Nintendo's E3 outlined and in a document format, and I was quick to write it off, but I was actually pretty surprised at how many others weren't quick to write it off, including websites that I trust and respect. Big PlayStation websites were actually reporting on one of the games leaked on here, and I thought to myself, that's kind of interesting. I wonder if they know something that I don't know, but I decided not to talk about it until today, because something clicked in my head when I was looking over this document that really opened my eyes and made me think, you know, maybe this isn't too good to be true. Maybe this is actually true. So what exactly happened? What clicked in my head? What did I see that made me want to talk about this? And more importantly, what are the actual leaks on this document? In this video, that's what we're going to talk about today. So sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's go over this potential Nintendo E3 leak and why all of a sudden I think it might be true.
Hey, RGT 85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my God, it's Stevie Richards!
Alright, so before we get into the actual leak itself and what's on this document, I want to talk very briefly about why all of a sudden I've sort of put two and two together and why I've given this document a little bit more credit. And that basically comes down to some of the wording in the document. So at the top of the document it says, Nintendo E3 Showroom Instruction Internal Use Only, Announcement Program for Nintendo Presentation Video E3 2018. Now what I thought was weird about that initially was the fact that it said nothing about a Nintendo Direct. Every E3 for the past few years, it's been a Nintendo Direct presentation, and the fact that there was no wording of Nintendo Direct on this document sort of raised an eyebrow for me, and it's like, oh, well, whoever made this document and leaked it obviously forgot to do that, a very rookie mistake, so obviously it's probably not true. But then something interesting happened about a day or two after this document leaked, is that Nintendo actually put down all mentions of Nintendo Direct on their website for their E3 presentation. Go on there and look, everything involving Nintendo Direct has been taken down, and it's now actually called Nintendo's presentation video. So right then and there, that's when it clicked for me. I was like, wait a second, how could this document have known that it was not going to be called a Nintendo Direct unless there's some sort of truth to it? Because everyone, if I would have made a fake document for you guys, I would have put Nintendo Direct on it. I think everyone would have. So to not have any wording of Nintendo Direct on this document, and then a few days later, it comes to fruition that there is not going to be a Nintendo Direct, it's not going to be called a Nintendo Direct, it's just Nintendo's video presentation, that sort of made me realize this could potentially be true. So let's talk about the games on the list, and then we'll just sort of come to, we'll talk about the games, whether I think they're true or not, and come to some final conclusions. So starting things off, we have the intro trailer, a sizzle reel for the Nintendo Switch. And on this intro trailer, supposedly, is Dragon Ball FighterZ, FIFA 2019, NBA 2K19, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, Octopath Traveler, and Wolfenstein 2 New Colossus. So obviously this would be sort of a third-party sizzle reel, and most of these games we pretty much expected to come out. FIFA and NBA both did very well on the Switch, so it makes sense for those games to come out again. Crash Insane Trilogy, Octopath Traveler, and Wolfenstein 2 will all be released at the end of June. Octopath, of course, is the middle of July, and Dragon Ball FighterZ is a game that we've actually heard rumored for the Nintendo Switch. Obviously, Bandai Namco is working on Nintendo Switch games, so all of these things are definitely within the realm of possibility. Now, the next game on the document is Super Smash Bros. For Switch. Supposedly there'll be a trailer, a software demo, and of course the tournament. Once again, we already know about all this. We know Smash Bros. Is going to be the centerpiece for the Nintendo Switch's E3. We do know that there's going to be a tournament. We do know that you're going to be able to play Smash Bros. On the E3 show floor. So once again, pretty much everything is copacetic. But the next thing is sort of a big thing, and one of the things that raises my eyebrows. Punch-Out! Become the Champion trailer and software demo from Next Level Games. Now, what's interesting about this is that a lot of people assume that Luigi's Mansion for the 3DS was being worked on by Next Level Games. They did, of course, Dark Moon on the 3DS, but then it was found out about a week or so ago that Grezzo was actually working on that game, which we covered on RGT News. You should be watching that every Wednesday and Friday morning, folks. There's a reason why I talk about certain things. So, supposedly there'll be a trailer and a software demo for Punch-Out! Become the Champion, which is being worked on supposedly by Next Level Games, which Next Level Games isn't working on anything as far as we know. A lot of people, like I said, assume they were doing Luigi's Mansion port for the 3DS, so now that they're not doing it and Grezzo's doing it, this is sort of falling in line with things I expect. Next up is a game that we know about, but we do not know about the full title of it, and this actually gives a full title, and that is Metroid Prime Renegade. There'll be a trailer and a gameplay footage. So Metroid Prime 4, of course, has already been confirmed for the Nintendo Switch. We got the teaser last year. A lot of us expect to see it this year. Metroid Prime Renegade. I don't really know how I feel about that title. I think Metroid Prime 4 Renegade maybe sounds a little bit better. But once again, we do expect to see Metroid Prime there. The only real interesting thing would be the Renegade part of it. Splatoon 2 Octo Expansion. There'll be a trailer and software demo. Once again, we already know that's coming out this summer. Obviously, there's a lot of meat to this content. It's a $20 DLC, so it'll be interesting to see what all it entails, and once again, E3 is the perfect place to show this off. Fire Emblem Memory. Supposedly there'll be a trailer and gameplay footage. We do know that Fire Emblem is coming to the Nintendo Switch. It is slated for a 2018 release. So once again, the only real surprise here would be the Fire Emblem Memories part of the title of the game. The next game, though, is the game that was making the rounds on PlayStation websites, and a game that I find very interesting, especially considering it kind of makes sense, and that is Fallout 3 Anniversary, a trailer and gameplay footage coming to us from Bethesda. Now, Fallout 3 was originally released in 2008, so it is the 10-year anniversary of the game. It's a game that a lot of people love. I prefer Fallout 3 to Fallout 4. I would rather play Fallout 3. I put hundreds of hours into Fallout 3. It's a fantastic game, a game I definitely love. So to see this come out on the Nintendo Switch would be awesome. And I guess the reason why PlayStation sites are picking it up is because they're assuming that it's going to come onto the PlayStation as well, which I guess would make sense when you look at something like Dark Souls Remastered, which was announced during a Nintendo Direct and announced first for the Nintendo Switch and then subsequently for the PS4 and the Xbox One, and then of course it was delayed for the Switch, and the PS4 and Xbox One versions will be out in a few days, but I digress. It was first announced for the Nintendo Switch. Bethesda is obviously pretty happy with what's been going on with the Nintendo Switch and their support for the system. So Fallout 3 Anniversary, I would be so hyped for that. I think that would be awesome, and Bethesda obviously wants to put more games on the Switch, so it would be interesting to see. The next game is a game that we already know about, but once again, it has a complete title, and that is Yoshi's Flipping Island. A trailer and software demo will be available for this game. Yoshi has been pretty quiet. We saw him at E3 2017, and then we didn't really hear much more from the game. It looked really good. I expected it to be a spring 2018 release, but here we are, almost past spring, and no Yoshi, so it looks like it'll probably be a fall release for the Nintendo Switch. The next game is a very heavily rumored game. From what I've been told from some outside sources that I cannot name, more than likely 99.9% this is what it is, and that is Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. Of course, we covered this on RGT News on Wednesday if you want all the details, but very briefly, it is a remaster, a reimagination of Pokemon Yellow. There's going to be Pokemon Go integration. There's going to be references to Red, and there'll be some sort of interaction with Red and Blue. It looks like it's going to be a really interesting game, and I'm pretty sure, 99.9% sure, that this will be announced, that this is the Pokemon game for the Nintendo Switch in 2018. So I'm on board with that. You know, it sounds pretty cool. The next game is a game that sort of gives me some question marks about this list, and is probably the thing that sticks out like a sore thumb the most, and that is F-Zero SX, a teaser trailer that is supposedly being worked on by Platinum Games. So that's pretty interesting to me. Obviously, Platinum loves Nintendo. They've been doing a lot of things with Nintendo lately. Of course, we have Bayonetta 3 on the horizon, and Bayonetta 3 is actually not on this list anywhere, so that's kind of interesting as well. But F-Zero SX, I'm not sure how I feel about that. That's the one thing that sort of makes me a bit rocky on this list, because obviously we've heard rumors about the Star Fox game, which we'll talk about as it is on this list, but F-Zero, like, where's that coming from? Is it going to be sort of an action game since Platinum is working on it? I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. The next game on the list is Fortnight, a trailer and gameplay footage. Obviously, Fortnite is a game that can run on anything. If it runs on cell phones, it can easily run on the Nintendo Switch. A very popular game, a game that people love, a game that is transcended gaming almost. It's obviously the most popular battle royale game, so I fully expected to see it on the Nintendo Switch. The final game on the first page of the document is Star Fox Lilat System, a trailer with gameplay footage and Retro Studios working on the game. Of course, we have heard rumors of Star Fox Grand Prix. Obviously, that's probably a working title. I don't really think they would call it Star Fox Grand Prix. Obviously, Retro Studios has been linked to this project, and a lot of people are saying expect this project at E3, so that would make sense to me to see Star Fox during this presentation. Now, it also outlines the Treehouse presentation as well on this document, on the second page of the document, which we'll go over very briefly because I don't want this video to be too long. Basically, Treehouse will start out with Super Smash Bros. For the Switch with a character reveal, showing some new characters and mechanisms in the game. The next thing is pretty interesting though. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening 3D will be revealed for the Nintendo 3DS. Now, we did see them do this with Samus Returns last year for the Nintendo 3DS, a reimagining of Metroid Prime 2, or a reimagining of Metroid 2, and it just sort of came out of left field and was announced on there. Obviously, the 3DS is not a focal point for Nintendo anymore. It's more about the Nintendo Switch, so I could definitely see this game being announced in passing with some gameplay footage during the Treehouse presentation. Then there'll be footage of Star Fox Lilat System, Splatoon 2 Octo Expansion, Metroid Prime Renegade, Yoshi's Flipping Island, Fire Emblem Memories, Luigi's Mansion for the 3DS, and Punch-Out Become the Champion. So what do I think about this list? Do I think it's true? I think the wording at the top, like I said, is very, very interesting, and that's what made me want to do a video on this because of how in line everything is. There are definitely some crazy things on this list. Punch-Out is definitely sort of out there, but something I could see. Fallout 3 Anniversary sort of falls in line. Obviously, the game is going to be 10 years old this year, and it's a game that I think a lot of people will want to see. Obviously, there's not going to be a Fallout 5 anytime soon, so why not revamp an old Fallout game? And Fallout 3 was a fantastic experience. The F-Zero thing, that kind of catches me off guard, though. If I have one major concern about this list, it's definitely F-Zero, because we haven't heard anything about F-Zero. For all we know, it is a pretty much dead franchise. So to see Platinum Games working on an F-Zero, I don't know, that raises some eyebrows with me. The Star Fox game, of course, we know is more than likely coming. Same thing with the Pokemon game. Fortnite, I feel, is a safe bet. It is interesting that Bayonetta 3 is not on the list. I expected that to be a potential 2018 release for the Nintendo Switch. But all in all, you know, this is definitely within the realm of possibility. The fact that there have been so many accurate E3 leaks already this year, the fact that the wording on this is pretty much in line with what Nintendo is doing, it's definitely worth talking about at the very least. It may or may not end up becoming true, but it's definitely worth something talking about. So let me know in the comments section down below what you think of this potential leak. Do you think it's true? Do you think that some of the games are possibly true, some of the games possibly aren't? And thank you for checking out this video. Like I said, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. I'm doing all sorts of crazy videos on here. We're dangerously close to 100,000 subscribers. I'm doing a giveaway for that. Look for the pinned comment in the comment section down below on how to enter that. And thank you for watching this video. If you really enjoyed it, be sure to check out all the links in the description box down below. Patreon, T-shirts, social media, all sorts of ways to keep up to date with the world of RGT 85. Be on the lookout for some con announcements coming up very soon. Con season is starting, and I will be all over the East Coast doing cons. So make sure you guys look for that. Thank you for watching this video, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Later.